Good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeremy here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com, updating your tropical weather at 1:02 p.m. on August 23rd, 2011. We got quite a storm to talk about here today. We want to talk about Hurricane Irene, located here just north of Hispaniola. You can see Hurricane Irene has become a little bit better defined overnight. You can see these outflow boundaries pushing out from the center of Irene. You can also see these feeder bands coming in nicely and actually drenching Puerto Rico as we speak. And you can also see an eye just barely starting to show up on satellite imagery just to the north of the Dominican Republic. But let's switch over to the floater and we'll talk about some problems that Irene's having. You can see these yellow clouds here, the indicating yellow clouds here. These are outflow boundaries, and this is indicating that Irene is struggling with some dry air issues. These are actually thunderstorms that are collapsing due to dry air and racing off to the west. And so you can almost see a bit of dry air being entrained in the system here. So Irene is still struggling with dry air, but she's doing well and overcoming it. And you can see here on satellite imagery this eye-like feature that's showing up in the last few frames. And as I was saying earlier, the feeder bands, it's actually getting drawn northward across Puerto Rico, and actually they're still dealing with some flooding problems. Now, Hispaniola, the northern coast of Dominican Republic, and Haiti should start to feel the greatest effects of Irene as it makes its closest pass here to them and actually starts pulling away from them to the west-northwest and starting affecting the southeastern Bahamas over the next 24 to 36 hours. The Bahamas really need to prepare for this, as they're probably going to really feel the brunt of Irene as she makes her way to the west-northwest over the next couple of days, as possibly into a major hurricane. Now let's look at the model tracks for Irene. You can see Category 2 hurricane located just north of Hispaniola, and most of the model consensus are in pretty good agreement, bringing it off to the west-northwest and then to the north and into North Carolina here, the Outer Banks of North Carolina, and basically just raking the whole eastern seaboard here. And this is a worst case scenario, folks. The Outer Banks here is really, if this track plays out and these models end up indicating exactly where Irene's going to go, this would be a worst case scenario track all the way up the eastern seaboard, the coastlines of Virginia, Long Island, Maine, New York, Washington D.C. All of these places would probably feel hurricane force winds as a direct result of Irene, and also receive flooding rains, probably 6 to 10 inches of rain along this area here, which was already saturated ground. So this is not a good scenario, and the Outer Banks would definitely feel the brunt of the storm surge in this area here, especially if this makes it to Category 3 or Category 4 hurricane, as some of the models are indicating. I do want to show you a couple of models today that I pulled off of Raleigh Weather. This is the HWRF model, and you can see initiates Irene here at 971 millibars, and let's take it out a few days. You can actually see it moving over the Bahamas. As I was talking about, these guys are really going to see the effects at 946 millibars. It's probably a major hurricane at this point. And then we go out to about day 3 here, and we see it over the the northern Bahamas as a 937 millibar hurricane, and then this actually brings it probably within 150 miles of the eastern coast of Florida. I believe Florida's probably breathing just a little bit easier now, although they still should see some effects, and a little wobble to the west could bring them back into the picture fairly quickly. And then we bring it up toward the Outer Banks here, and you can see 929 millibar hurricane just zeroing in on the Outer Banks here of North Carolina. And this is probably a Category 4 storm if this were to play out, and this would be devastating for North Carolina to see this kind of a storm come in. The storm surge would probably be fairly high right here on this eastern quadrant of the storm, and if this model plays out, these folks definitely need to be paying attention anywhere up this coast. Florida, don't let your guard down. Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, all the way up the eastern seaboard needs to be definitely preparing at this time. And you can see just brings it inland right across the coastal areas of Virginia and directly north toward the eastern seaboard. Now, this is the European model, and this is probably one of the more scary models that I've seen. This was the 0Z run, which was last night, and you can watch the storm here. For those of you who are not familiar with these models, this is the storm right here, and actually brings it fairly close to Florida. Florida's here, and here's the Outer Banks right here that I was talking about, and you can see it just smacking the Outer Banks. And this is showing a 923 millibar hurricane, which is probably fairly close to a Category 5. And then just bringing it up the whole East Coast is showing Long Island basically just right here in the northeast quadrant as still a very powerful hurricane, and then just completely just wrecking the whole eastern seaboard, which would possibly be multiple billion-dollar disaster here. This whole area here just getting pounded by this hurricane. One thing we can hope for is that maybe it turns a little bit further east and tries to recurve before doing all this damage. I don't see that happening at this time, but of course it's that option is still on the table. Some of these models, like the no gaps, actually want to miss the eastern seaboard and just bring it out to sea here and to the northeast, racing it out very quickly. But some of these other models, like the UK Met and the GFS, actually bring it in fairly close. So all sites are on North Carolina at this time, and these guys definitely need to be watchful. I believe I saw some of the Outer Banks islands were getting ready to start evacuations as early as tomorrow. I was looking at the emergency management situation there. So anywhere from the east coast of Florida needs to keep an eye on this, as a little bit further track to the west could bring you guys back into play here. So everyone just needs to stay vigilant, and the important thing is there's not the eventual track, as this is going to be a large system. This is going to affect a whole lot of folks, and the Bahamas here, you guys need to definitely be prepared, as you guys are going to get really pounded by this. This should strengthen into a major hurricane before affecting at least the northern half of the Bahamas before making its pass at the United States coastline. So once again, hope everyone's prepared, and everyone just keep an eye on this thing, as Irene's turning out to be a monster. She's struggling a little bit right now, but I believe after she pulls away from Hispaniola here and gets into this area here, there's no reason why she shouldn't strengthen quite a bit over the next couple of days, bringing it up to Category 4 probably status before making landfall. So everyone here, keep your eyes open, stay vigilant, and I'll keep updating you guys. Once again, this is Jeremy here at ExtremeWeatherTracker.com. I'll see you all again soon.